People are starting to filter in, and I'll keep an eye on that. But I figure let's get us kicked
Yep.
off. So I'm Sue Ahura. I'm the events chair of IABC DC. I am excited for this today. And my personal kind of experience is that when I was going through a career change, I worked with Melanie to sort of navigate that. And I got a lot out of the process. And I got a lot, especially out of, how do you use LinkedIn better and how do you not just get caught in trying to chase an algorithm. I'm going to read a little intro for each person, and then I'm going to turn it over to them because I want us to have as much time to kind of go through the content as we can. Melanie is a career coach, LinkedIn strategist, and former recruiter who helps professionals turn confusion into clarity and visibility into real opportunity. She works with mid to executive level professionals navigating job searches, career pivots, and promotions, and is known for translating the hiring process into clear and actionable strategies that work. And as I can say, I'm somebody who's experienced that firsthand. Shell is the LinkedIn cheerleader and a relationship first visibility expert who helps people show up on LinkedIn in a way that feels human and sustainable and aligned with who they are. I think all of us have probably had that experience of going through LinkedIn and seeing just stuff that feels very inauthentic. And I think that this hopefully is kind of an antidote to that. Shell specializes in connection building and confidence and helping professionals engage on LinkedIn without feeling awkward, performative, or overwhelmed. And together they've co-created the LinkedIn Rockstar Academy, where they help job seekers, consultants, and professionals build visibility that leads to real conversations, real connections, and real opportunities. And so now I'm just going to turn it over to them. And if you have
Perfect.
any questions, folks, I'm going to moderate those questions a little bit and just filter them through to folks as needed. And I'm going to let a couple people in.
Perfect. Well, welcome everyone. We're super glad you're all here today. Today is about one thing. We are looking to help you get found again on LinkedIn in a way that actually leads to interviews, conversations, and opportunities. So if you've been applying, you've been networking, you've been posting, and it feels quieter than usual, or it feels like it's not working, we want you to know, first of all, it's not you. LinkedIn has changed how visibility works. This actually started last year, and we're seeing the ramifications of that continued into 2026. So today we're going to show you what has shifted, what actually matters, and how to adjust without having to post every day or turning LinkedIn to a second job where it feels overwhelming and a heavy lift. So I'm going to pass the mic back over to Shell and have her share kind of what we're going to cover today.
Yeah. So, of course, we are going to be covering how to be found in today's job market. And we're going to look at why LinkedIn visibility feels a little bit different right now. What's actually changed with LinkedIn 360 Brew's new system, how recruiters and hiring managers find people today, what to adjust on your profile and content so that you can get seen more, and a simple, sustainable visibility rhythm that works in 2026. We're also going to be focusing on what this is and what it isn't. We want to remind you that this is practical. We always like to have kind of like an informal rapport with people. Feel free to drop things in the chat. Again, you can see here on the screen, it's not about becoming an influencer. We want you to really take this to heart and think about how you can become clear, credible, and more findable on the platform. So anytime you have any questions, again, Sue's gonna moderate the chat a little bit to navigate that for us. But yeah, we keep this really light and interactive, and we're excited to show off some more for you.
So, as Siri already introduced us, I'm going to keep this part really short and sweet. We started what we call the LinkedIn Rockstar Academy because we actually were two people that were navigating LinkedIn that felt it was overwhelming, and we were trying to do a little bit of everything and not really understanding how it actually works. And so one of the big things that I love to be able to focus on is the teaching piece, so that you're actually equipped with understanding the why. And it's not just two people telling you, hey, go do this. We want to teach you the why so you can actually educate yourself and use this platform, to your fullest advantage. Now, my partner, Shell, she is a self-proclaimed, well, she is a self-proclaimed LinkedIn cheerleader, but she truly is a cheerleader at heart. And so that is one of the things I wasn't going to say self-proclaimed, and I just did. So, but one of the things is that she actually is probably the person that is going to be behind the scenes cheering you on, supporting you, encouraging you, and really being able to show you, hey, this is working. We've got to tap into this way more so that you are showing up authentically and yourself. So super excited to get right into this. Let's start off with why visibility feels different today. So here's what many people who I am working with experiencing right now. The job market feels stuck, even when you're doing all of the right things. What has changed? It isn't effort. It's how attention works. And so we're going to talk a little bit more about that. LinkedIn used to reward activity. Now it's rewarding clarity and consistency. So if your profile, and we're going to spend some time on that today as well, your content and your engagement don't tell one clear story, the system is struggling to understand who you are and who should see you. So that's the shift we're going to unpack today. And once you understand that, visibility becomes much more predictable. Shell, I'm going to pass it back over to you and let you explain, if my slide wanted to work, what is actually changed with what they're calling the 360 brew when it comes to LinkedIn.
Yeah. So what's changed is that now LinkedIn reads your entire presence together. It's not just your headline. It's not just looking at one post. It's looking at your profile, what you post, what you comment on, who engages with you. And it asks 3 questions over and over and over again. What are you known for? Who is this for? And is this useful? So while you may be experiencing overall that fewer people may be finding and seeing your content, you may also be noticing that it's more of the right people lately, because LinkedIn is actually doing what it is setting out to do and showing you more of the things that you want to see based on your profile, your content, who you comment on, and who engages back. So tricks, hashtags, viral formats, they matter way less now. You can still use some of them and game the system a little bit, but like we really want you to lean into answering those 3 questions over and over and over again. And signals matter more. So signals saves, real comments, topic consistency, and profile alignment. This is all the things that matter, and these are the things that we want you to focus on.
Perfect. So what does this all mean for you? So this means a few things, and I'm going to hit on this first point very really heavily for everybody today. Your niche needs to be clear. And obviously, everybody here today, you're in the communications field in some way, form, or the other. It might be on the video side, might be on the written, the writing side, might be PR. There's obviously different ways of communication. But you have to be and this also translates into what we're seeing in the job market. It's not enough to just be the expert in your field in this particular market that we're in today. I focus on what I call the differentiating factor. I will use Sue as an example because I'm familiar with her background. She's a video editing genius. She can see those small details. She can see the small things that nobody else is catching. And that's actually what makes her videos change from just being a solid communication piece to being a piece that her clients are actually putting out there for the world to see. And so understanding that differentiating factor is what's going to set you apart in the job market today. And this ties it back into your niche. It's not enough to be a communications professional. What is your specialization? What is your area of your area of strengths where that makes you stand out? And this is what translates onto LinkedIn. Now, Shell gets to listen to me like pretty much, I don't know, at least 3 to 4 times a week say this. So I don't think she's heard it this week, but your profile's turned on 24/7. And so it should be doing some of the heavy lifting for you so that while you're sleeping, people are coming to your profile and finding you out. One thing we know about the communications field is that this is a virtual field. You can work for somebody on, in a different city, different location. You can work hybrid. So people could be checking out your profile at any given time. But your profile and your content need to match. It needs to tell a story. So we also know that content needs to sound like a human. We've seen too much that it's, very templated, that is not coming across authentic. And everybody right now, one of the things that I speak a lot about is we're kind of in a trust deficit right now in this world. And job seekers have that with employers, but in general, we have that. So we're questioning is this real? Is this I know I look at posts sometimes and I'm like, is that a real post? Is that like an AI post? And so this is translating into us questioning a lot of things. And so when it comes to the content piece, and especially as communication professionals, your clients or your future employer or current employer want to understand your point of view. They want to understand that. So normally I don't necessarily push the content piece, but I think as content communication professionals, this is an opportunity for you to stand out. It's an opportunity to showcase your writing, showcase your creativity, but also showcase your thought leadership and your point of view. The other thing, which is where my strength absolutely comes from when Shell and I are coaching, is engagement. It has to be intentional. So I have a very specific engagement strategy that I employ when I'm working, for myself, but also when I'm coaching. And the reason engagement is so important is because this allows you to show up on other people's feeds. It allows you to show up. I say it's like knocking at the door and you're getting ready to meet somebody. If you are not engaging on LinkedIn, you're missing out, because this is a way for you to be found. And it's a way for people to find you that other job seekers truthfully are not. Where do you want to go? You want to go to where your ideal client or company that you want to be hired is at. So if you're looking for that, financial services firm or that, PR firm, go look to see who's creating content in those ideal companies that you want to work at. Also, what's the big star? What's like the big, I always say one of my LinkedIn coaches, she follows Sarah Blakely, who created Spanx. And she knows her clientele is very similar to the clientele she seeks. So she looks to comment on Sarah Blakely's content all the time. Guess what happens? Because she's like that big star, she also gets residual comments on her comments. And that engages and creates conversations. We're going to be the first to tell you old advice like posting 7 days a week. You don't need to do that. Using 20 hashtags. No, you don't need to do that. Chasing viral formats. We're not here to be viral. We're not here to, that's not the goal. The goal is to build something sustainable that feels like it's easy for you to use and that you can actually implement, but also be successful. That's what we're looking for. Shell, can you explain a little bit about how that visibility framework works?
Sure. So we always start with a foundation of your profile. A lot of you probably have worked on your profile a little bit over the last few weeks, few months, few years. At some point, you've touched it. You've probably added things from your resume, but we always go back to it as the foundational beginning of setting yourself up for more visibility. And the reason for that is because if you're not clear on who you want to attract, what you do, how you can help people, and why other people should care, having the content and the conversations and the engagement and building your network is not going to help you at all, because once they get to your profile, they're not going to know what to do next. So we always start with the profile as the foundational area. So this is your digital billboard, and it helps position you so that you can attract the right people instantly. And as Melanie said before, LinkedIn is 24/7. Your profile can be working for you behind the scenes, even if you're not on the platform as actively every single day, all day long, like we are, right? Like this is what we do for a living. This does not need to be what you do as a second job. We want you to like get in, get out, get what you need, and be able to keep LinkedIn working while you're not utilizing the platform. So the second pillar of our visibility framework is the content. So once you've got the profile in place, we encourage you to start coming up with your core pillars of content that you want to keep referring back to. I don't think we've mentioned it at all yet today, but like something that we mention quite often with our clients is that like people need a lot of touch points before like information lands. And so when I'm saying like have core pillars that you refer back to and talk about often, you may not get the same people looking at your post this week that looks at it next week. It may hit a few different people depending on who you're engaging with. And so the more that you can reiterate what it is that you do, who you do it for, how you can help, explain problems that you've solved, questions that regularly come up, share case studies, share success stories, you name it, like whatever your core focuses are going to be, this is what you need to regularly create content around. So we want you to think about simple, clear stories that can signal who you are, what you do, and what you want to be known for. And that, again, you could have 2 content pillars, you could have 4 content pillars. It really depends on what your goals are and what you're trying to do and what you're trying to communicate and who you want to land in front of you. So start thinking about that. The third pillar here is engagement. So once you've got those 2 buckets, and keep in mind that these are not all like independent things. Yes, we go in this order of 1, 2, 3, 4, but like you can be working on these things simultaneously. So the engagement kind of goes hand in hand with the content and the profile to amplify one another. So when we think about engagement, as Melanie mentioned, like we want you to be strategic, intentional, and relationship driven. We want you to think about like not just liking a post or reposting something just for the sake of it. Certainly that does help and you can get away with it here and there, but we want you to focus on like meaningful conversations that you want to be having. And for this, you can refer back to those same core pillars of like who you are, what you do, how you can help, the people that you serve, and go and find people who are in those same places to go and engage with. Guess what? The more that you can engage with somebody in these different areas, you're not just interacting on somebody's post. Anybody else who sees those posts now has the opportunity to see you and be like, oh, I really like what Melanie had to say here. Let me go check out what else she's doing. And that's where it ties back to, is your profile optimized? Is it attracting and keeping people's attention once they're there? Because you have the ability to, again, do all of these things in tandem and drive traffic from one to the other. So we want those 3 to be working for you, not against you. And then, of course, the 4th pillar is going to be your network. This is where your audience can help you determine your reach. So a lot of people, especially when you're like job searching, you may have started on LinkedIn just accepting and sending connection requests to anyone and everyone. And certainly you may also see on LinkedIn that some people do this regularly as LinkedIn Open Networkers, or the abbreviation LION. While I'm not saying that that's completely wrong, I don't want that for you. I don't want that to be where you live and spend your energy just connecting with anyone and everyone. Don't be a connection collector. I want you to be really intentional with who you surround yourself with in your network. Why? Because this is going to dictate who LinkedIn shows your profile to more of. For instance, if you're looking for more people that are in the same communications area as you, the more people that you connect with in that area, now LinkedIn is like, oh, they seem to be connecting with a lot of communications people. Let's show them to more communications people. Or here are some other communications people that are related to these people that you might not have even thought of. And so they're going to LinkedIn's going to refer more communications people to you, and LinkedIn's going to refer you as a communications person to more people that like the ones that you're already searching for and connecting with. So it works both ways to build the visibility, and LinkedIn is learning, especially with this new 360 brew algorithm. Now more than ever, LinkedIn is learning who you're paying attention to, who you're checking out, who's checking out you and positioning you to be more visible in those spaces. So you want to fill your audience with your target audience, target companies, groups that you're interested in, people that you want to have conversations with, and not just anyone and everyone. Who can make introductions for you? Who are your cheerleaders and supporters? Because I'm good, but I can't be your only cheerleader in the room, right? You should have other people in the space cheering you on. So who is singing your praises? Who is going to be your referral partner? Who is going to help teach you things that, or somebody that you can learn from? Who's a few steps ahead of you? Who are your ideal people to surround yourself with, that because they're really connected in the industry and you want to like build relationships with them? Think about this very, very strategically. And so Melanie and I are both really good at like helping you build your audience to find the right people to surround yourself with. I kind of thrive in the branding space. Melanie is really good at the engagement, but like it all comes back together to like help you from one pillar to the next to drive that visibility. And so I know a little bit long-winded. Hopefully I didn't lose you with that, but like that is the visibility framework in a nutshell.
Great. So we're going to do some live coaching here. So, but before that, and you're going to see a lot of like rock star analogies. We lean into our brand. And so this is tune up number one. And this is profile positioning. So here's the truth. When somebody lands on your profile, whether it's mine, Sue's, Giuseppe's, Shell's, whose ever profile, we're all guaranteed one thing. Okay. That's the top half of the profile is seen by everybody. That's your banner, your headline, and your profile photo. Those are all given. Now, where the viewer goes next, we don't actually know. So when we're working with somebody, we work on a whole very holistically for every single section of your profile. But for the purposes of today, we're going to focus just on your headline, because even if you think that your headline is like really solid and just kind of through some accepting of some immediate connections here with the attendees, I've seen some really strong profiles, to be very honest with you. So very impressed. But our profiles are always works in progress. There is no such thing as a perfect profile. But when they land on your profile, this is our opportunity that we want them to stay. We want to consider your profile like a landing page. How long can we keep them on your profile? So it has to be very clear at the very top. Who do you help? What do you help them do? And why should they trust you? Again, this goes back to what I was saying earlier. It is not enough to say I'm a communications professional. It's not enough for me to say I'm an executive career coach and a LinkedIn strategist. I have to be able to show that proof. And so that's the one thing that we'd like to, this is the simple headline template, but we'd like to kind of work with. So if we've got a volunteer, I know Shell's also kind of watching the chat there. I'm on slide duty, so Shell just prompt me accordingly. But if we have anybody that would like us to kind of take a look at their profile, and we could just give, some high level feedback to, we promise we will be gentle.
Yeah. We've got Lisa Novak volunteering.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. Do you want to pull it up or should I?
Yeah, if you want to pull it up, I'll stop sharing really quickly. And okay.
1 second while I get that up and share the screen.
I also see that Carol and Sonia have their hands up. Do you have questions?
Oh, wrong one. Hold on. Sorry, Suzanne, I saw you volunteered as well. We'll get to you in a second.
Just volunteering.
And we do have some built-in Q&A as well. So if we don't get to you in this example, we can definitely come back and give you some feedback as well. So
okay. So now let me have the right one on the screen. Okay.
Yes, thanks for taking a look at it. I'm in the process of building it. And the advice I had so far was kind of just, use basically resume headers, things like that to start off. And I always find it funny because as communications people, we can always promote and sell everybody else 5 ways till Sunday, but then we're kind of like the worst for ourselves, like the shoemaker's children go barefoot kind of thing. So
Absolutely. And I'm going to tell you, as a former recruiter, recruiters are the worst people when it comes to their own resumes. That was me. We're never we're never the person that can I always tell people, I am a great doctor. I'm a horrible patient. Okay. And so Shell, do you have some immediate thoughts you want to share? What are your
Yes.
thoughts when you see?
Yeah. So, first thing that I want to talk about, and I'm only going to focus on this top billboard area. So first things first, beautiful banner image. I also gravitate towards the ocean, towards the water. So I'm really I like this picture a lot. However, immediately I'm like, what is this picture supposed to tell me? So first and foremost, I would like you to think about like, how if this is literally your billboard image, like think of this as a billboard that people are seeing when they're driving down the highway, right? Like what text would be associated with this that can start creating that narrative for people of who you are and what you do, how you want to be known, what you want them to remember about you. It doesn't need to check all those boxes. It can check any one of those things, but like if this is an image that you're really, really connected to, all you have to do is add some really, clear, concise text on top of this image to start connecting the dots for people. Don't let it just be a pretty picture that people are looking at. If it's a picture that you took and like you're a photographer and this is a way that you wanted to promote your photography, then you would want to have some text on here that says, photographed by me or photographed by Lisa, right? Like, so start thinking about like, what do you want people to know? Like, what is this image supposed to communicate? And if you're not particularly tied to this image, then what other image could you put here? Doesn't have to be overly designy. Yes, I have a background in graphic design and I can be a perfectionist at times, but like you can easily go into Canva and grab one of the free LinkedIn banner templates and like then change the background image or just change the text accordingly. You don't have to overthink this, but really, and this goes not just for Lisa, but for anyone, like what do you want your banner image to start communicating? This is just one of the things that people see first and foremost when they get to your profile. So like we don't want it to just be a pretty picture or a blank space. We want it to start driving the narrative. And that way, no matter where people go next on your profile, you're starting to connect the dots over and over again of who you are, what you do, how you can help, and so on. The second thing that I'm looking at here is the headline, and I'm going to keep this kind of a little bit more generalized right now. I do like that you have some keywords in here. The expert storyteller, you start to tell, what your experience is in, and what you've done in the past. You're starting to connect the dots a little bit more. And I do like that it deviates a little bit from just the keyword. You've got like a sentence structure. I would see if you can make this a little bit more, I don't want to say like catchy, but like, and yes, clear is better than clever, but like, I want you to hook people in. I want you to start thinking about, especially this first line. This is what people are going to see more often than they aren't, before they even get here to your profile to see the complete picture. So what language can we put here in this first line, especially to communicate to people exactly what you do, what you want to be known for, and how you help people? And again, that's going to wrap around to the entire thing, but I think we can get a little bit clearer, and you maybe even more strategic with the keywords to drive the point home that like, yes, you're a storyteller. Yes, you experienced external, internal, and social communications, and you can do all these things. But like, I want you to be really clear what keywords you use that like other employers, other companies might be looking for you to fill that role. Mel, do you have more on that?
Yeah, I think with the headline, one of the things, because I was just looking through your other profile, and this is just a high level view. Obviously, when we're working with people, we know specifics. But I would actually, because I saw a lot of things with like media relations, PR, I'd like to see some of that in that headline as well, and more of that focus. The coach in me is telling like more of that focus. Not that you wouldn't be available for internal communications, but there's specific. Instead of leading with expert storyteller, because here's the reality: as a hiring manager, a recruiter, they're not leading with the keyword of storyteller. Because a storyteller could also be, a TED speaker, a TEDx speaker. It could be a speaking coach. It could be, there's a lot of things in yes, communications, obviously, storytellers in that regard, but that doesn't tell me necessarily what you do. So you're missing out definitely on an opportunity there. I think there's also opportunities for us to the clearance in the space here in DC. That's huge because I saw that you have done a lot of government work. Obviously, we know our government is transitioning and changing, evolving every single day, but there is still a lot of government consulting, government contracting. So that's a huge piece. I love seeing that piece right there as well. I want to know about the train killer that is Lisa. So that's kind of an intriguing thing that we'll have to talk more about offline, but that gets me interested. Like that's a little bit of one of my other business partners, he's like, has like Lady Gaga and like, there's those things that, like bring people in. So you're headed in the right direction. I think what Shell was also kind of leaning to is just, we need to tighten it up. We need to know, and this applies, by the way, to everybody. So kind of taking that lens and stepping up 2 steps away from your profile and going, okay, if I was hiring for somebody, what am I hiring for? What are the key words that are really that I'm going to go and look for somebody? If I was going to go and try to find my person, somebody similar to what I do, what would they be the keywords I would use to look for them on LinkedIn? And so that's a good place to kind of start. Look at job descriptions. What are the job, if you took 5 job descriptions you've applied for in the past, or 5 clients that you've worked for, what are the similarities? That's going to lead you to kind of those key areas. So Lisa, thank you so much for your willingness. I know we had a lot more volunteers, but we want to keep the conversation moving because we still have quite a lot, but we do have some Q&A that we want to share as well.
And we could probably do another one.
And you didn't hurt my feelings at all on any of that, which is fine. Which is fine. Not that you would. But just to clarify for everybody too, DINFO's train killer. DINFO's is located at Fort Meade, Maryland, and that's Defense Information School, where public affairs people, PR people, graphics photographers in the military services all go for education. So in the DC area, somebody who's been in my line of work, I have 29 years with the federal government, and 12 of them were spent at Coast Guard headquarters. They sent me to DINFO's. So DINFO's trained killer is you can say, I guess, call it jargony, but in this area, somebody seeing that, it could connect back with somebody who's like a contractor and say, oh, she already went to a military related media.
Oh no, you're absolutely spot on with that. And and definitely from a recruiter standpoint, absolutely. And here's why that works for you from a recruiter standpoint, because if I know that my hiring manager comes from that, I'm actually going to use that as a keyword to help me find somebody. So you're directly onto that. Is great. You should absolutely keep that there because that is a differentiating factor for you that sets you apart, especially in this market, which the DC market, it's its own unique, funky little market. 20 years of recruiting in this market, I can tell you it's always been that way. And so you are spot on with that, Lisa. So, and definitely lean into that. And I'll just give you one real quick tip is you could actually use that as a search feature to find others that maybe have gone before you or after you. And those would also be good people for you to connect with as well. So, let's carry on and let's go to the other topic. Well, we had our live coaching, but this is our second tune-up. So Shell, how does content work today on LinkedIn?
Okay, so again, you may or may not have noticed that content has changed a little bit, or like people's visibility has gone down significantly with content. But it didn't stop working. It's that what happened is that noise increased. And so there's a lot more people speaking in a space on a platform of over 1 billion people, and like you're stuck in an echo chamber. So what is working and what's cutting through now is thinking about having one real story per week, one teaching or insight post per week, and one gentle invitation or nudge to get people to the next step. So we're not trying to like pressure you to share content every single day. We want this to feel like you are just like creating a content bank that people can refer back to learn more about who you are, what you do, and how you can help. And no matter whether it's always, they can always go back to the content and have it be evergreen. They can always learn from it. They can always get to know more about you, build that trust, and know what you're working on or what you want them to do next. So again, it's not about daily posting. It's about getting more people to respond to your clarity. And the more that you put this out there, the more you're going to see more and more people that are your people start seeing it and responding to it.
Great. So we're going to come back to this. I want to kind of continue on to the visibility, but we're going to come back to this. Actually, one thing I'm going to do a live coaching, but I'm actually going to use Sue as an example here. And then we'll continue. So that way we make sure we hit our question and answer time, and we can definitely answer. So there's one thing that I remember many things about Sue, but there's one story Sue told me, okay? And Sue could actually still use this story today. She may not remember this story, but it's something I actually use as an example to this day when writing cover letters. And we were crafting Sue's cover letter. I have a very specific process with that. And I was like, Sue, tell me a story or tell me an experience with a client that really made you like, that stands out as something unique that shows that you pay attention to detail. Sue may know where I'm going with this. She may not have any clue where I'm going with this, but she told me this story, so don't kill me. That she once had a client on the film. She's filming this customer or client, and she notices, she knows the story I'm telling. She notices the gentleman has nose hair. Now, the video producer and Sue is like, we can't have that on camera. So what does Sue do? She goes, takes him off camera, talks to him, addresses it. She shared that story and this was before her pivotal change. So we were kind of in that state of like, am I going full time? Am I going consultant? But she shared that story in a cover letter, and the cover letter got the attention. Here's the thing. Sue could take that story now and translate that into a content of like, these are the tiniest little details that I focus on. I'm not afraid to have those awkward conversations. I'm not afraid to have that. That's the person you're hiring when you hire Sue. Christy, thank you for being my guinea pig, not ever volunteering and knowing that you're my guinea pig.
No problem. I use that story all the time as the least glamorous moment of my career, but it is a good example.
And I use that example to this day because I literally point out to people, like when we're doing cover letters, for example, we want to stand out. What's something people are writing the same freaking cover letter and don't want to get off too much topic, but we got to do something that makes people stand out. And that's a differentiating factor. So what is that story you could tell? What is that story that you could turn into a piece of content that you're telling a story, but guess what you're doing? You're really selling yourself. And now people remove the resume. Now we're getting a chance to connect with you. And now that detail of pay attention to the small details is not just a statement. It's not just fluff. It's actual proof. And that's where the content piece comes into play. That's a real authentic story, and it translates, and people gravitate towards that. And so when you're thinking, it's not about volume of content, it's about the story you're telling and how you can select those. And guess what? We all have them. We all have those, unique situations we can share. So really encourage people to take a step back. Don't feel overwhelmed about creating content. which leads us to this next section here of kind of what the rhythm is. And this is just suggested, okay? Just to kind of give a framework. But understand if this doesn't work for you or it feels overwhelming, that's okay. You don't have to accommodate this to you. So we call this the visibility rhythm. This is basically, think of this like daily. I'm going to leave 3 thoughtful comments on other people's posts, and not just anybody's posts, but I'm going to leave comments on people's posts that are in my area, the hiring managers, other communication professionals. I'm going to send out 1 relevant connection request. And if you are creating content, you want to engage, you want to do these things first and then push out your content, if at all possible. By the way, I don't do that myself. I schedule my posts because I have to live in a world where otherwise it won't happen. Okay. I'll get going in my day and I'll forget to post.
You got to know the rules before you break them, right?
Right. So again, I'm a horrible patient, wonderful doctor. But again, I don't necessarily do this verbatim because it doesn't always fit my schedule. And so I have accommodated what works for me and my work schedule. So, and then of course, as Shell already mentioned, a good benchmark. And if you can't do it, choose one that you're most comfortable with. If you've never created content, choose the one. I would say the one invitation should be the thing that you're definitely doing. At least 1, if not, try to get out at least 5, especially in job search mode. But if you have to choose something that is something that's easy for you. What makes you feel comfortable? What's your comfort zone? And then we can work up to 3 posts. We can work up to 2 posts. Again, you're never going to hear us tell you have to post 5 or 7 days a week. That is just not going to happen. And then here's kind of the monthly. So once a month, review your featured section. As communication professionals, I want to see a featured section. I want to see some samples of your work. Now, I know sometimes we have proprietary information. We can't always share everything. That's okay. Can we take a snapshot of it? Do you have a portfolio? There's opportunity for you to be seen more than just your resume, and your featured section is where that's at. If you haven't ever thought of doing this, do a video. Do a video, a 1 minute to 2 minute video introducing yourself. Job seekers, by the way, are not doing this, okay? And even coaches and consultants are not doing this. How and why should I hire you? Who are you? Tell me a little bit about yourself, because obviously when we're in a video situation, you're getting a chance to kind of know us a little bit more than just a piece of paper or online. Notice who's liking in when you are creating posts or even creating comments. Notice who's commenting back to you. Notice who liked your comments. Maybe they didn't leave a response, but you know what you can do? You can now go check out their post or their profile. And does that person make sense? If it's another job seeker, you may say, Melanie, are you crazy? Why would I connect with another job seeker? I expect every single one of you to be connected with one another. Why? Because you're in, whether you do the exact same thing or field adjacent, sometimes it's not about being connected to me or to Shell. It's about now you're connected to our network. And if you are in that same space, that's what's actually going to help you. I will tell you the biggest game changer for me, I came from recruiting. Recruiting can be a very brutal world. I did not have a concept when I first pivoted into coaching that I should be with other career coaches. I was like, well, why? Why would I do that? It wasn't about competition. It wasn't about, taking away their spotlight for their posts. What it was showing up as an expert in my field with my knowledge and my take. And just like job seeking, not everybody's going to, there's ultimately one position. It's not going to be the right fit for everybody, but we want to show up in that space. And then adjust based on what's actually landing, what's resonating with people. I do a poll every single Monday because that works for me. I do my newsletter on Thursdays because that's what people gravitate towards. So find that rhythm. Look at what's people are responding to. So as we kind of get wrapped up here, and we do have a gift that we're going to give, but I'm going to let Shell kind of give some key takeaways first.
Yeah, so we want you to remember that like visibility is all about coherence, because we want you to create this overarching picture of yourself that like no matter where people land, they're going to be able to know exactly who you are, what you do, who you do it for, how you can help. How many times have we mentioned that just in the past 45 minutes, right? Like we're repeating the message. We want you to do the same thing in throughout your profile, throughout the different sections of your profile, throughout your content. We want you to weave it into the engagement and the comments that you leave for people and like be really mindful of the way that you're doing this. Again, clarity beats frequency. We want you to be clear, not clever. Like, so think about like what you're saying and how you're saying it, and is this going to land with the people that I want to position myself in front of? And third, we want your profile and your content to tell one story, the same story. You could be telling it a bunch of different ways, but like we want you to be consistent and true to that story so that people aren't getting mixed messages and signals about different things that you do. Your visibility isn't broken. It just needs a new set of rules for you to follow and live by. And again, once you know the rules, you can kind of break them and adjust them accordingly to the way that works for you. That's why we give you all the framework, and then you get to test and see which things fit your daily routine. We want it to always be like super relaxing, no pressure, and we want you to be able to maximize the time that you do spend and the energy that you do spend and put into LinkedIn instead of spinning your wheels all the time trying to do all the things. So yeah, those are the biggest things we want you to know.
Perfect. So you guys just saw, I put it in the chat. We are we're going to give away 5 free spotlight sessions. These are private 30-minute conversations, 2-on-1 with Shell and I. Here's what you'd like. Here's what we'd like for you to do is you can send it, that's to my email address by midnight tonight. And I put in the email 3 things: your current role or situation, what you're kind of looking for, what your goals are, what you're specifically looking for help with right now, whether it's profile clarity, recruiter visibility, content direction, networking, and what outcome you're hoping to achieve over in the next 3 to 6 months. So we're going to review all the emails, and just because of time and things, we will select 5 people that we feel like we're best able to assist with. Not that we can't help everyone, but unfortunately just don't have enough time in the world to offer that to everybody. But we do want to at least we'll select 5 people, but we'll respond to everybody and let you also know where you can also kind of like find us. There's some other ways that you might be able to engage with us as well. But we really, we're going to be really, this is where visibility is going to start. And so based on that, we're now open to conversation. Now we're open to questions. Let's get that word right. And so, yeah, wherever you feel like however you want to do that, we can take questions.
Yeah, and just as like a reminder too, like whether you're chosen for us to do that quick audit or not, like the clarity that you gain just by writing out what your goals and what you're looking for sometimes is like that's a win in itself. So because it's forced you to like focus and zero in on what you really want, and that's really where the visibility begins. So regardless, we hope you have gotten a lot out of it. We're now going to have Q&A. If you have anything that you wanted to ask, if you want us to do a few more like profile reviews on the spot. I know a few people raised their hand earlier, so wherever you'd like to go with it, we'll go rapid fire here.
Sonia, I saw your hand go up first. If you want to unmute yourself and just ask.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for that. It's Sonia Taylor. I guess one of my primary questions is, my experience covers technology, energy, and defense. And so the jobs that I'm applying to and the people that I want to attract are, in an intersection of any one of those 3. I'm deciding, I've heard is that your LinkedIn profile should have very specific results like measured results, like I've increased market share by 10%. I've gotten, you know what I mean? I helped land a whatever, $75 million contract for my client. Sometimes I feel like getting really specific like that in a LinkedIn profile um, prevents me from, hitting on different job openings, whether it's in energy, whether it's in defense. So, because I have to write a profile that that appeals to different employers. They're not all going to be in energy. They're not all going to be in defense, if that makes any sense. When you're applying for communications, at least in my role, you can apply communications to a lot of different industries. So my question is, what's your best advice? Whether you may be applying to communications in financial or energy or defense or tech, what would be your best bet, your best advice for narrowing down the language that you use?
Two things there. So first off, the first thing I would say is find what is that crossover. So it's the same thing kind of for me, where I do the executive career coaching and I also do LinkedIn, that's part of the piece as well. And then I have LinkedIn Rockstar and which is, some people are like, oh, those are two different audiences. I'm like, well, they're really not. There's a crossover of transferable skills. And so those are the key areas that you want to work in or focus on when it comes to like those keywords. Now, when it comes to, and this goes for everybody as well. So it's a really great question. So those key areas, those achievements, don't just regurgitate your resume into your LinkedIn profile, because you're absolutely right. It becomes overwhelming. And if I'm looking at on this trusty little, of course it disappears, but this trusty little device, I'm not reading all of that. Let's face it. We know that's the world we live in. So I want you to select for that last job, the top 2 to 3 achievements. Don't give me everything. Now, the recruiter in me wants you to give me everything, because then guess what? I'm already discerning, are you a match or not? But the coach in me only wants you to give me the kind of the top 2. Here's why. Because I can see enough proof that I know what you're doing. And that gives me then the reason to go, hey, I want to know more. And so then I'm going to reach out and say, hey, Sonia, let's have a conversation. Let's talk. I saw these, 2 to 3 points. So don't feel like you have to give, everything in the kitchen sink when it comes to those measurable. Give me enough highlight reel. Give me enough high level details that I know that it's proof enough for me to see that you know what you're doing. And all of those fields will have the same kind of transferable skills, the skills that you use. And a good recruiter, a good hiring manager is going to know that if you were able to do that, especially like energy, defense, things like that, that you're able to translate that.
I see 2 other questions that I hope we can get to, and I don't know if you guys want to go a little long, but the next one is Andrew Blunt. He said, it seems like recruiters are being replaced with AI all the time. Are you predicting or seeing future changes to further changes to LinkedIn profiles to help appeal to our new machine overlords? And then Carol, you'll go next, FYI.
I will tell you this. I know that it feels like AI is taking over and that recruiters are getting replaced. I'm going to tell you this. The recruiting field, truthfully, I haven't been in it for a couple of years, but I have an immense amount of recruiters. I will be very honest with you that recruiters are still there. There's a lot of misinformation. Yes, AI tools are out there, but here's the reality. Recruiters are actually not like when you apply online, the ATS system is not the mean thing out to get you. It's actually just a storage. It's electronic file cabinet. Yes, keywords are utilized 100%. So keywords do matter, but I'm going to tell you this, keywords without purpose are not going to get you anywhere. And so while AI tools are being utilized at a higher level, that's one of the things that there are recruiters that are behind the scenes that are still very much actively involved in the process. So first and foremost, that we do know that LinkedIn has gone into a higher AI, from job seeking. They've changed a lot of the search features. I'm not necessarily loving it in terms of being, highly proactive or effective, so to speak. Truthfully, I'm going to be honest and, apologize to the LinkedIn gods because I believe they're always listening and following me. I have to be a good LinkedIn citizen. I don't really like LinkedIn's AI tools, honestly. With all the tools that are out there, I actually do like AI tools, but LinkedIn's AI tools tend to be behind the scenes. So if you have a choice of using them for your job search, really actually don't. Choose another tool. There's far greater, better tools out there that are keeping up with the times. But to your question, are recruiters getting replaced? Actually, no. What is happening though is recruiters are often some of the first to be let go when layoffs happen or downsized. And so the job of 2 to 3 people is being done by one, which is causing some of the backtrack. We could get into the job details of that job market, but there's a lot that goes into that. But I'm just here to say there are people that are behind the scenes that are actually looking at your resumes.
Yeah, and if I can just add to that real quick, LinkedIn profiles are going to keep changing. The platform is going to keep changing, but guess what? So are we. And so it's less about the profile and like the platform changes themselves, and more about like as Melanie mentioned with her, I think it was on one of the slides. I'm pretty sure it was on one of the slides. Like monthly, you should be going back, or at the very least quarterly, and going back and reviewing, like, has anything changed? Does everything still feel up to date? Is this still true about me? Do I still want people to know this more than this? And like just go back in and make sure you're representing your best self. We like to think of it as like not a set it and forget it profile type of thing. So yes, the profiles are going to be evolving. Yes, you probably are going to see more and more AI, but like regardless, make sure that your profile still speaks true to who you are, and make sure you have it filled with keywords so that even for the systems that are using AI recruiting and technology and automations behind the scenes, if you have the right keywords in there, you're still going to get found. And so just be, like always have that in the back of your mind, like not that things are going to get replaced, but that you're representing yourself in the best light possible.
Carol had her hand up, and I think she just put her question in the comments. It says, maybe obvious to others, but I don't get the value of posting stories or comments. Are recruiters actually scanning posts to see who has the best comments? It seems they would be searching for skills or keywords to find candidates. And then after Carol, I'll do Sabrina and then Danya, if I can.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, we can take those 3 questions. So to Carol's question, totally get recruiters probably not so much about your posts, but I can tell you who is interested in your post. It's because it's the hiring manager. So if you get presented, and I had this happen just the other day, I had a client that I got connected with through the AARP, and the hiring manager, the head of HR, we had a conversation on email, and the next thing she asked for, even though she had her resume on hand, can you send me your LinkedIn profile? Why do you think that is? Because she's not just looking for, in this person, they do a very specific high level task. Because if we're going to hire somebody in this day and age, and we know we're competing against some other qualified people, what's setting you apart? That's where your content stands. It's not about having viral content or 100 likes on it. It's about establishing your point of view and your thought leadership. Because a hiring manager, if they see that and go, oh, wow, I really like how Carol took that slant on how to handle a PR crisis, or how to handle, may seem minute and so silly and stupid. Like, why would somebody care? But if they're going through that and it's a pain point, or it's something that you're seeing in a job description, and that's the problem you can solve, that's the value you bring. I know, having been a recruiter, I know communications people feel this way too. It's showing we bring value. We're not just this added cost to the company, right? We bring value, and here's why you need us. You don't want to be in the PR crisis. we want to stop that before you're in the PR crisis. Okay. How is your internal communication? Do you have high turnover with your employees? Well, your internal communication is failing. We need to solve that. Okay. Because high turnover, guess what's costing you millions? And if we can solve that and stopgap that problem, I'm going to save you millions. And I'm also going to save you really good employees that are doing maybe the job that is bringing in the revenue. So that's where content matters. Also, content matters for visibility. The more you put, and again, not the more you put out, but the quality you put out lets other people see you. And that then increases the ability for you to be found. Because even if they're working in the background, they don't comment or anything, that lovely impression, guess what they do? They go and check out your LinkedIn profile. And that's where they're now looking. And that's where the two connect. Does this connect with the other? So content, and here's an advantage for everybody. Content matters because it's something that job seekers in particular, and honestly, a lot of consultants are not doing enough of.
And here's why this matters, and what I tell almost all my clients too, especially job seekers. When I'm working with somebody to look for new people to connect with, specifically this piece of connecting with new people and surrounding themselves with more people who they want to gain visibility from, stay top of mind with, get into the fold with, have introductions to, you name it. I am showing clients that when they go to other people's profiles, one of the main things that they should be looking at is the activity section. And so there's over 1 billion people on this platform. If somebody goes to your profile, and again, we don't know where they're going to land, what they're going to gravitate towards. Some people may look at all the way down to the about section. Some people may go all the ways to the skills, the recommendations. Some people may look at the entire profile. Some may just, look at your headline and bounce, right? But if somebody scrolls down to your activity section and they see nothing, this person hasn't posted in 90 days. This person hasn't done anything at all. This person hasn't left, it's just blank. Or they're seeing a lot of congratulations on your new job. What a great milestone. The regular, and I'm a LinkedIn cheerleader, so it's hard for me to say this, but the celebratory posts of cheering other people on when they land a new role. If they're seeing nothing, or only the celebratory posts of you cheering other people on when they land somewhere, it doesn't set you apart from the masses of everybody else who is doing the bare minimum like that. And so by commenting more actively or proactively, occasionally having your own thought leadership teaching or post or invitational post to put out there and showcase what you're all about, you're not giving yourself the chance to leverage what you can do into more conversations. And whether it's posts or comments or reactions or any of the three, when somebody goes to your profile, if they see that, even if it's only a few times a week, not even every single day, they're still seeing you showing up in a way that is proactive and putting yourself out there, and, as Melanie said, taking a stance on something. So that's more valuable, even if they don't care what you're actually saying. The fact that they're seeing that you're doing it really sets you apart from all the masses of people that are not.
I was going to say, it's almost like if they're clicking on you, they have a curiosity. And if you give them a little something, it helps feed that curiosity. It doesn't cut them off at the knees. If they're curious about you, it gives them something to satisfy that curiosity a little bit. The next one that came in was from Sabrina. What's your opinion about having a company page if you are a consultant? I've seen some who've added one and others who focus on adding specific content to their personal profiles, highlighting the work they do within their consulting role.
Okay, I'm going to jump in on this first, and then you can add on. Okay, so I highly recommend that consultants have a LinkedIn company page. Here's why. It adds that immediate layer of credibility that you're a reputable company, that you're a reputable business, that you're taking it seriously, and that you are building your presence and your authority and your brand. So You've probably all gone to somebody's profile when they put in that they're a consultant or that, they're the owner or of a company, or even when you're in an actual role and you don't tie it back to the company page because you can't find it or it's got a weird name, and you see that blue-gray box of death next to the company name. It immediately, whether you realize this or not, it immediately takes away from the credibility of that company that you're now referencing. So I always recommend that people do take like 5 to 10 minutes to create the LinkedIn company page for yourself as a consultant or as a business. Have a logo or image so that you're not seeing that blue-gray box of death next to the company name on a personal profile. And then whether you like, I'm not even suggesting that you post regularly from your company page. I want you to have one to build that authority. And then I want you to utilize your personal profile to drive traffic to it. I want you to use your personal profile to revalidate and make sure that people know that you're doing this thing and it's through this company, that it's your company, that it's your baby. You don't have to keep naming the company every single time, but you're indirectly, when they go check out your profile, then seeing that it's tied to a legitimate business. So hopefully that answers. You don't necessarily need to do, like, we're not LinkedIn company page wizards. That's not what we focus on, but we always recommend that our clients have it, especially if they're consulting, so that it definitely like sets you up to, like, for people to know, yes, this is a real business. This is somebody who's taking this seriously. They care about their presence and just taking steps to mitigate that. Mel, I know you've got a little bit more on that.
Yeah, no, everything that you said, I think it just gives you another opportunity just to be found, to be very honest with you. I just repost I create a couple of unique posts to my own company page, but honestly, I just repost a lot of my own stuff. The rules are slightly different with company pages than how your personal page works. But I would just add, there is so many ways, and honestly, it would be a whole like workshop on all the secret ways that you can add value to your personal profile that I will be bold enough to say that a lot of people, well, I don't want to say you haven't like thought of, but I know there's I don't even want to say there's secret ways, but there's multiple ways that Shell and I have tapped into how to, what we call to actions, to create a call to action and like even sections that you haven't even thought about on your profile. So regardless, we repeat a lot of information. If you go to my profile, you'll kind of see like, oh, that like you're purposely now looking at it, but the average viewer is like scanning. So wherever they land, they know how to connect with me. They know how to hire me. They know how to have a conversation with me. So definitely ways to continue to take all of that information and build it out in your personal profile, but then also having that is just a second layer. One thing I'd also add to even Carol's question to this question, SEO is becoming really big with LinkedIn right now. That we know is happening in the background. So your posts are even coming up, like you can type Shel Shapiro LinkedIn post, and you're actually going to see Shel's posts come up. You can do it with me as well. But you're going to see our posts actually coming up in Google searches. And so especially being a consultant, this is another way to be found without having to pay all that crazy SEO money, because who's got that? And who understands all of that? But SEO is becoming more and more viable on LinkedIn with your profile, with your content, and your company pages. So there's value there. One thing we also know, going back to those bad AI keywords, Sonia, with SEO, having like with your posts in particular, having a kind of having a header, so to speak. If it's very clear in what it is, it's going to help it log higher in a Google search. So if people are searching you, yes, job hiring managers do Google people's names. I do promise you that. I know that for a fact. And that's also going to help you with that. So again, this is all being done for you by LinkedIn, so we can take advantage of it. And that is something that we can tap into and help us be found.
That's great. I think you guys think we have time for one last question?
Yeah, we can definitely do that.
Tanya had asked, is LinkedIn Premium actually worth it? The site really pushes it. but is it actually helpful for job seekers, especially considering the changes in the algorithm?
So this is such a hard question because Shell and I have always coached on the thought that you do not have to have LinkedIn Premium. Okay. And I still want to hold on to that. I will be very honest. LinkedIn is making it harder and harder to do that. Okay. I don't want to say that LinkedIn has gone pay for play right now, but they definitely are making it harder for job seekers. And I have a very specific view on that. There's a lot of coaches and consultants, by the way, that also do not have LinkedIn Premium. I do for my business. I have always had it. Shell has not always had it. And so was highly successful without it. Can you do your job search without it? Absolutely, you can. It is a little bit harder. There's some workarounds that you have to do. So my thing is, I still want to say no, that you do not have to have it, because here's my thing. And I even do this when working with consultants in particular, people that have it that are not utilizing the benefits of it. It's really important for you to understand all the benefits of how to use it. That is the big part, Carrie, of the connection request. I will say that we do a lot of preaching to people of like being open to like just check like sending it without notes. I've even been experiencing it myself. I think I said sent some people here connection request without a note. I've actually kind of gotten away with that in my coaching, just because of the way LinkedIn is. So I really tell the person, you decide if that's the person you want to connect with, because that person may not have the ability to add a note. And so that used to be a coaching technique, always add a note. I honestly am sending connection requests without notes now. I'm just like seeing what happens. But that makes it definitely much harder, but just go ahead and send it. Because here's the thing, if you've liked their content, you've commented on their content, they're likely they'll start to put the two and two together. They also might go and they're going to go and check out your profile, because curiosity is human nature. And so I always check out everybody's profile that sends me a connection request, because I'm like, is this person the person I should connect with? So take advantage of that. So don't be afraid to go ahead and send those. So I'm still going to say no, you don't need it, because I know you can do a job search without it. I do know that.
Here's the thing, like, and Melanie said, like, I, for the longest time, only was using the free tools. And here's what I kept noticing, and here's what you might start noticing too, especially like as you're looking for jobs, you're looking to connect with more people, you're sending more connection requests. I was constantly hitting that brick wall of things getting blurred out every week, every month. I've actually seen somebody like that only had 3 connection requests for the month, like, so even less than the 5. But I had 5 when I was doing it. And like, so the good news is, like, if you exhaust those 5 connection requests with a note, it resets at the beginning of the next month. So like, you use them a little bit more strategically. I have a client right now who has exhausted his connection requests without a note, like just the ability to even send them. They've now like encouraged him and said, like, if you want to send more connection requests this month, upgrade to premium. You've exhausted your monthly limit. So like, just be mindful of the limitations. And when you start, I would say, like, go 2 or 3 months. If you are consistently hitting those limitations, running out of connection requests with a note, running out of connection requests without a note, running out of searches before it starts blurring all the results, because you can do too many searches for people and companies, and then everything is blurred and you can't see any results. I have found some workarounds for that, but like, because I have premium, so when I'm working with people, if they have that limitation, then I can do the searches for them. And so then they can just go right to the person's profile. But like, you don't always have that ability to lean into somebody who has premium and utilize theirs, or Melanie has Sales Navigator, right? And so sometimes we work with our clients to like be able to provide them with a list that they can just go right to the profiles and bypass the search. So if you're regularly running into those limitations, the messages, the connection requests, the searches, We all know you can't really see any analytics of who's read your profile when you're on the free one. If you want to see who's checking you out, where they're coming from, how they're finding you, what keywords they're looking for, those may be some indications that you want to upgrade to premium. Do I think the average person needs it? No. But like while you are in a ramped up job search, you're doing more of these things. And so you may run into these limitations more and more. And that's when you want to like spend the money to not run into the limitations. Give yourself the best chance that you have of being found and more visible. It's worth it to pay for it for a few months to get that visibility and to not have like those paywalls. I do also recommend doing the business one, not the career one, because the career one still does have some limitations to it. And you'll just be able to see and access more from the business one. It does cost a little bit more. If you have premium also and you plan on canceling it, just set yourself a calendar reminder a few days before, because you'll have to put a credit card on file. And you probably will forget. If you're like me, you'll forget and it'll charge you again. And you'll be like, gosh, dang it, I didn't want it this month and now I can't take it back. So set yourself calendar reminders. But I do think it's worth it if you're constantly running into those limitations. With that in mind, the biggest thing we can tell you is like you have to have the framework. You have to know how you're using the search filters. You have to know who you're looking for. You like utilize it effectively so that you can maximize it. I don't want you spending money. We don't want you spending money on premium if you're not utilizing everything to its potential.
And I would say that Carrie brought up oftentimes too, when you sign up, they'll give you 1 or 2 free months. It just kind of depends. Truthfully, I changed my credit card. I mean, I changed the credit card I was using and they gave me 50% off Sales Navigator for 2 months just because I changed my credit card. And so
Sure.
I was like, yeah, start off 2026 with a lesser expenses for 2 months. I'll take it. I was literally just changing my credit card that I wanted it to be billed to. So, but yeah, you can definitely get a couple of months. And so what I suggest is kind of understanding at least what are some of the features and then go into it. And truthfully, if you land that position, I think if your business is based consulting 100% or contractual, I actually think it can be, you can write it off as a business expense. Also, it is a job search expense, which can be tied. I'm not a tax expert, but I know there's ways around that. So just FYI, ask your tax person. But you can't, but the payoff, I saw the immediate benefit it was my very first investment. It was only because I knew that was where my clients were. So I invested in it and the payoff for me was immediate. And so that's where I've seen it and why I've stuck with it. But just do it strategically. So like if you're in the process of doing your resume and your LinkedIn profile and you're doing that first, don't do it that first month. Do it after you've got everything set.
Thank you so much. Hopefully everybody got something out of this. And to answer, somebody asked the question of, are we going to record? We have recorded this. I just want to double check with everybody on sharing it or how we're going to do that or if we're going to do that. But I know that part of the reason that we recorded this so we could give it to somebody and kind of write up a summary, kind of a little bit of like a blog post about it after the fact. Thank you again to everybody who attended. And I put this in the chat, but if you're not following IABC DC on LinkedIn, that is where we are, I would say, most active, and we have a really good person on our board who keeps up with posting our events, networking things that we're involved in, as well as cross-posting things from like IABC Philly and other chapters that are doing interesting webinars like this. And yeah, and that is it. We're over, but I hope that's okay, and yeah, I got a lot out of it. I hope everybody else did too.
Thank you. Yeah. And
Yeah.
Bill and I are notoriously always running over on. We did do a webinar the other day that we ran right on time. So we were super proud of ourselves. We were close. We were tracking, but Q&A, we appreciate everybody. Thank you. That's the part that we love, is being able to really dive deep and answer questions. So thank you so much for everybody. Thank you, Sue, for having me back, and of course welcoming my partner as well. So
excellent. Well, thanks all. Have a nice afternoon.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye, everyone.